A deal in Detroit between Ford and the UAW. The deal's only now coming to light. So who wins with this? Who loses, if there is one? Sarah Webster covers the automakers for the Detroit Free Press, and she is joining us from the Motor City. So this deal got done with no strike. Can you give us some details on it and what it really means for Ford, for shareholders?
Well, it's our understanding that the deal mirrors the pattern agreement that the union already reached with General Motors and Chrysler. So we're expecting this is going to be very beneficial for Ford in the long run. But we also understand it's pretty beneficial for the union. According to my sources, this deal is going to save some factories in America that Ford had maybe intended to close before.
Can it work both ways? I mean, can it really be good for the union and good for Ford? I mean, can it, at this point in Detroit's automotive history, can you have it both ways? Personally, I got to tell you, I don't think you can.
You know, that's a very good question. That's a question that we tried to get answered. You know, I talk to experts who are like, you know, how can they keep plants open if they're building products that people aren't buying? Even if they're at much lower cost base, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. We can only hope that there's some details that we don't know about. It's our understanding the VEBA, which is the healthcare trust fund that the union's going to manage and that's going to take a lot of liability off of Ford's balance sheet, that may have been funded at a much lower rate. So there are many other costings that the union may have done to keep those plants open, but in the long run, Ford is going to have to build products in those plants that people want to buy, or else it's just never going to make sense. And 4 years down the road, you know, maybe we'll see those plants close anyway.
Sarah, the membership vote on the Chrysler deal was really close, and but they did vote to ratify the deal. But then Chrysler turns around and decides to cut about 10,000 jobs. What's the membership saying, at least right now, about this Ford deal?
Well, I'll tell you what happened at Chrysler really.
Oh, we lost Sarah. We lost Sarah Webster with the Detroit Free Press.
Let me jump in with one quick thing about the Ford deal, because I was following that stock very, very closely.
Wait, she's back.
Sarah is back. Take it away, Sarah. Sorry.
Sarah, go finish. You got cut off in the middle of your thought.
Actually,
sorry,
Sarah, I'm going to interrupt. I'm sorry. I know you're running out of airtime, but I've got to tell you, I was following this real closely. And over the weekend, some of the details of the deal were released, a few details here and there. First thing this morning, Ford stock opens down, roughly down 2%. That tells me that it was a fairly good deal for the unions compared to what was expected. It's now down 3%. Look at that.
Well, I'll tell you some things about how this may have been playing out and the reason why that may be. A lot of the stories that we've seen that have been breaking what's in the deal have been kind of on the pro-union side and have been kind of trumpeting the aspects of the deal that are good for the union. So maybe Wall Street's just reacting to that a bit, and maybe we'll see some more details in the next few days about how this deal is beneficial for Ford. But I will tell you that the UAW workers at Ford were spooked by what happened at Chrysler. I mean, they did see a deal pass, and then, you know, less than a week later, 5 days later, Chrysler turns around and says they're going to lay off 10,000 workers. And I'll tell you that means that this Ford deal had to have job security guarantees, and Ford gave them to the union. And I don't think that Ford would have given them under their current financial distress to the union had they not been good for them too. They can't, you know, this is Ford's, you know, make or break time, and they can't afford to do something stupid.
Okay, Sarah Webster at the Detroit Free Press, thank you so much. Stuart, a much more friendly resolution to that.
It seems like it, but as they say, only time will tell. Right.
Thank you.
All right, let's get some more on this city, and let's see what that means for the leadership crisis. I'm going to use the word crisis on Wall Street. Liz Gold is with us, and so too is Justin Fuller, equity strategist for Morningstar. Liz, if I may, I use the word crisis here. Leadership crisis on Wall Street. Stan O'Neill, now Chuck Prince. All right. Does that add up to a crisis, do you think?
It's not an overstatement. Look, when you see no succession plan, no obvious successor at Citigroup and Merrill Lynch, that's a sign that things are in disarray. I'll give you some new names. I was just reporting, talking to my sources at Citigroup. Some names in play, of course, are John Fain, Jamie Dimon now, CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase. His name is being bandied about.
Wait. What? I mean, come over to leave J.P. Morgan Chase?
His name is in play.
Wait,
also,
you have to give a little bit of the backstory with Jamie Dimon.
Jamie Dimon, and Jamie Dimon was a protege of Sandy Weill.